with Hashem's loving grace. Welcome to Amunah Beams with your host, Laser Brody. Today's podcast is entitled Three Friends in Life. And this is from my fireside collection of stories. It's the type of stories you tell at night around the fireside when you talk about things about the soul and about priorities in life and what's really important. I'll tell you a story about a person that had three friends. His first was his very, very best friend. He loved to be with his friend. The more, the better. And the more time they were together and the more they spent together, he absolutely loved it. And he valued his best friend more than anything. And the more time they were, the happier he was. Okay, the more time they're together. Well, second friend was a good friend, not so much like the first friend. He was a good friend. They had their ups and downs, though. The second friend, when he was feeling good, they'd have terrific times together. But sometimes the second friend, he would feel a little bit sickly. And when he wasn't feeling well, he'd pull him down and they'd go down together. And they wouldn't have such a good time. But the third friend, he was a casual friend, much less friend than the first and the second. And the third friend was very critical. In other words, the person tried to be polite with him and to be nice to him. But the third friend was always critical. And he says, how can you say things like that? And why do you eat like that? And why do you do this? And why do you do that? Well, I'm very critical. I mean, it's hard to be someone who's critical unless it's somebody that's a constructive criticism. But he didn't like to take the criticism. But what can you do? They have to put up with people like that, too. Well, one day, our protagonist, he received a letter from the king's palace. And it's from the royal prosecutor, a letter from the royal prosecutor. Yeah, he was summoned for a court case. He was looked at things he was accused of terrible things, really difficult, dangerous court case. And he was scared, he was shaking. So what does a person do when a person is in need? Turns to his friends. Well, he turned to his three friends and he told them, he said, listen, my friends, my comrades, I've been summoned to the king's palace and who knows what's going to happen with this court case. I've been accused of difficult things. And I really need encouragement. I really need your support. Will you come with me to the palace? And all three showed loyalty. Yes, we'll come with you to the palace. They all came with him to the palace. But they got on a wagon, hired a driver, horse and wagon, took them to the palace. They went on the road. And as they got to the palace, when they got to the gates of the palace, the best friend, his very best friend, the first friend, he says, oh, I'm sorry, my comrade, I have to get off the wagon now. I can't enter into the gates of the palace. I'm sorry. He said, what? You can't? He said, no, I can't. I'm sorry. This is the end of the line for me. I'm off. Bye-bye. Well, he was really disappointed. His best friend couldn't even enter the gates of the palace with him. Now he okay, but he was consoled. The fact he was left with his second two friends. So they went inside the palace, the big golden road that wound its way into the king's palace where the royal court is. And when they got to the gate of the king's palace, the second friend, he said to him, he says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go to the king's palace. I come to king's palace, bye-bye, I'm down the road. So now he's left to go in the court in the courtroom with only his third friend that he thought was his casual friend, a very critical friend. Not enough that I got this critical friend, now I'm going into the court where they're really going to criticize me. Okay, but he found out that the third friend stuck with him all the way in, went into the court case, and never left him. Well, this, cherished brothers and sisters, is only an allegory. I'm going to tell you the moral of the story. You know who those three friends are? The first friend, who our hero loved so much, that was his money. And his money, they could have, the grave, he could only go to the grave. The money doesn't go to the person into the grave. And the grave, that is the gates of the palace, because the grave is the entrance to the palace. The grave is where a person exits this world and enters into the next world. The money can't go there. So the money and the friend that he loved so much in his life now leaves him. And now he's going in a complete journey and another whole life, a life of eternity. And the money's not going with him. Nuh-uh, that's the first friend. He thought it was his best friend, but it certainly was not. And then the second friend that went in to the palace gate, but couldn't go into the king's court, that's the body. That's the second friend. The body's ups and down. When the body's healthy, it's your best friend. But when the body is sick, it pulls you down, brings down. But the body, he He was better than the first friend. Person's body is better than the person's money. Person's health is better than the person's money. Okay, but he could go into the grave, but he can't go into the next world. And that is what our allegory tells. He could go in to the king's palace gates, but it can't go into the king's court because the body doesn't go to the next world, only the soul. The third friend, this was the person's soul, and this accompanies him everywhere. And what is the soul? The nourishment of the soul? Person's Torah, person's good deeds, a person's prayers. This accompanies a person everywhere. And what he thought in his life, this was critical. What are you talking about? What are you eating? No, don't talk Lashon Hara. No, don't eat something that is doubtfully kosher. No, you can't do this, you can't do that. He thought that the soul was just getting in his way. He thought this was a bothersome friend. He was trying to be polite with him. He had to exist, the friend. But he found out that this third friend that he thought was his worst friend turned out to be his best friend. And this, beloved brother and sister, what do we learn from this? We're in a difficult time. We're coming off of COVID. Baruch Hashem, this week in Israel, finally on June 1st, all the limitations end. But still, there's still COVID going on in the rest of the world. And it wouldn't go over COVID, had the Meron tragedy, 45 people died. Right after the Meron tragedy, right after the Shiva, had the Gaza war. And the Gaza war and Trump bombing all over Israel, especially my own hometown, was really hundreds and hundreds of missiles, and life was completely disrupted. And we finished that, and then there was the Karlin and Givat Zev, where another 2 people died. And we hear even just yesterday, I think everything is more or less calming down. There's a peace treaty with Gaza, there's this. No, but then 5 Jewish people, 5 Israelis, they got killed in Italy. Jews got beat up in New York. Jews got beat up in Los Angeles. Jews got beat up in Florida. Jews got beat up in London. Jews got beat up in Germany, all over the world. Look what Hashem is doing to us. Hashem says, my beloved children, the time of our redemption is close. Mashiach is close. I want you to take stock in yourself. Who is your friend? It's not your money. It's not even your body. It's your neshama. The only thing that is going to accompany you into the next world, the times of Mashiach, that's your Torah and your good deeds, your mitzvahs and your prayers. This is something no one ever could take away from you. Could take away your money, they could take away your body, but they can't take away not your Torah, not your good deeds, because your soul is a tiny part of Hashem. And just like Hashem is eternal, your soul is eternal. So that's the place to invest. God bless. And always think about who your best friend is, your soul and your Father in heaven that loves you more than you can imagine. Hashem should bless you in every single way, and hope to see you again soon on Amun Beams. God bless.